Hey, everybody. Welcome to Our Healing Voices podcast and YouTube channel. I'm Aaron Lehman, and I'm excited for this episode 38 with Brianna Valenzuela. And I'll introduce her here in a second. But to begin, those of you who are brand new to the podcast and or YouTube channel, welcome. The initial vision of this podcast came in like twofold, two reasons that I launched this podcast. Number one, on my own healing journey, which has been ongoing, right? I mean, it's kind of a lifelong thing, but a more intentional journey has kind of came out of college, really, high school, college, into my 20s. And oftentimes I felt alone. It was like, am I the only one like reading books like this? Like, who do I talk about? Who do I talk with about this stuff, that I'm processing, that I'm learning, that I'm kind of feel, different awarenesses that come in. Sometimes it just felt super lonely. And I, over the course of the last 20 years, since I was 20, now I'm 40, over this last 20 years, I've continued to find that there are so many people engaged, semi-engaged, fully locked in on the body, mind, spirit, wellness train. Like, I'm not on a train by myself. Like, there are a lot of people that are having these conversations with themselves and sorting through like, okay, where am I now? Wow. How did I get here? What is this about? Was this back then? Like, is this a story that I want to keep living as I'm visioning forward? So just these body, mind, spirit, wellness conversations, I've continued to realize like there are so many people engaged that actually are engaged in this transformational process. And in all different places, right? We're all in unique places on that path. So I wanted to create this podcast because it was like, let's bring voices forward to talk about what they're learning, about what we're learning together, what we're learning individually. And what if we could, find some little gifts, like wisdom nuggets that we can like grab from other people's stories. I was raised by two counselors, so perhaps that's part of my extreme intrigue and my extreme like curiosity, where it's like, I really, when I'm out in public, I'm always just like, I wish I could just sit down and have like a deep dive convo with pretty much everybody that I see, and it's just because I'm curious to know people's stories. So anyway, so these healing voices, the goal is like to remind us all we're not alone. When you're practicing that meditation, even though maybe it's like sometimes like it's hard to get into that routine or that habit, just to know that like there's other people on the path also creating new habits and creating a meditation practice, or diving into therapy, going to therapy for the first time. Like, you're not the only one going to therapy for the first time. Like, there are lots of us that are saying like, ooh, I could probably use a little help here, So I wanted it to be a reminder of that. And then also just our voices, that Brianna, in sharing her voice today, continues to realize what power and importance her voice has at the table, and as you're listening today, for you to realize your voice is powerful. Your stories, your experiences, your insights are so unique and so special and so worthy of time and space and for someone to hear those stories. So that's the little intro. If you are brand new, thanks for being here. Excited to have you here and excited to be on the journey with you. Yes. And on that note, Brianna Valenzuela and I go back a little ways to a sweet little school in Glendale, Arizona, which it's so wild to me what a time that was. So this is back in we've just figured out the other day, I think it was 2008 was about when we met at Kellis High School over in Glendale, Arizona. And Brianna was one of my students, and she was an incredible student. Boy, I'll tell you what, when I think back to you then, I think warmth. like that. I mean, that's really what, warmth, like you just had, back then you were just this warm presence. And I still feel that similar warmth whenever I get to connect with you, have conversation with you. I'm always just like, oh yeah, safe, warm. So yeah, anyway, so that was in you then. And I'm sure it's just like what has, part of what has led you into what you're into these days. But on that note, Brianna is a graduate academic advisor at Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado. She actually received her MA in clinical mental health counseling at Naropa few years back, and is also currently building a private practice, offering counseling to people. That's like your current goal, is to continue offering that going forward. So that's exciting. So anyway, on that note, Brianna, wow, you're a gift, and I'm excited for you to be here and excited for you to share. As you think back, on your life up till now, like, have there been some pivotal moments, pivotal experiences that have led you into where you are today, where you would just like identify like, ooh, yeah, that thing that happened then, that really impacted the way I'm showing up today. Just curious to know a little bit, about how you got here, and where you are today.
Yeah. Well, first, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, and that reflection too. It really lands. And I'm so honored to be here too, and to have been asked to share my voice. So sweet. I think as I reflect on my life, I think some of the pivotal moments that has shaped where I am today and how I view the world and how I go about my life happened like way before I was even born and conceived, actually. So my mom's first child, my older brother, Amir, his name was Amir. When he was about 2 months old, he died of SIDS. So when that happened, it was my mom's first child, and obviously like one of those unexplained, not sure where to find a reason, how to make sense of why something such as that could have happened, why your first child could be just gone. And what happened for my mom during that time is she was raised pretty Catholic, went to church every Sunday, very much within the way she was raised. And there was some sort of shift that happened for her in her relationship to God, to Creator, whatever you might want to call them, where she was really hurt. She was in a lot of pain. And from my understanding and what she tells me, like she was mad at God. How could you take away my baby child before I've even had a chance to really, I don't know, like barely getting to really hold them. And because of that, I don't fully know what my mom's intentions were in terms of when she raised her children and how she wanted to raise them, what she wanted them to believe in, or us to believe in, I guess I should say. But there was like a stepping back, I think, in terms of her relationship to religion, her relationship to God. And because of that, I wasn't raised with any sort of formal, organized religion, organized thought, belief. I think there was certainly this message of like, there is some sort of like reason, creator, being, I don't know, something that we can't quite touch or see and fully understand, but that, that informs how we are the way we are, and our physical forms, and all of it all. But because of that, I really had the opportunity to witness my world, and make my own sense, make my own meaning. And I don't think I really was actively seeking anything to grasp, to hold on to. Like, that was never needed. Like, I didn't need anything to be like, yes, this, like, this is the way it was and is, and, whatnot. So like with that, it was around like my undergraduate years in college where I think I just allowed myself to be taken with my world. And that led me into different understandings. I was, of course, like learning things that I had never thought of. I was questioning things that I had never questioned. And, like, I think undergraduate education really allows for that. You're not just learning the traditional things that you might learn in English and math and, science, et cetera. But I was really had the opportunity to start learning about what I wanted, what I was interested in, what I was drawn toward. And that included spirituality, that included, connecting, finding my own sacred connection with the earth, with people, with the creator, like what did I feel when I looked up to the sky? What did I feel when I was able to witness like the growth of a plant, a flower? And it happened a lot through nature. I'm referencing nature because it happened a lot through nature. I was really able to rest, to fall, to land, to ground, to like feel held most in those spaces. And so with that, I think because I didn't have anything that was like informing my way, I was able to create my own path. I was able to just try on, or like let land in my heart different teachings, different religious teachings, and like I don't necessarily attach to like the name of God or creator or higher power. Like I don't fully I see it all as the same, and and so I'm rambling here, I think, because like there's just so much wrapped up in this, and my journey of coming to understand of actually, rather than we're just like really letting my heart guide the way in my life. That's what has always really led my way. That's what has really allowed me to feel my world, to understand like how I want to move forward. Where do I want to go? What do I feel? And that's been like that understanding, and perhaps one of the reasons why I am within the field of counseling, because it's I think that's where my natural intelligence lies, is like, just that connection to my heart, checking in of like, like, what do I feel is right versus wrong, or not even right versus wrong, but like, do I go left? Do I go right? Do I go straight? Do I make my own path? Like, and so a lot of it has been some sort of creation of my own path that, just really asking myself, where do I want to go? And because of that, I was very much tuned into my world, my outside world, of like taking in signs, so to speak, of like, oh, right, like this confirms like I am on the path that I want to be. And it could be something as simple as like, as I would be having a conversation, and I would be in a deep conversation, you know, not just like about everyday things, but like really like contemplating different aspects of this world, of ourselves, different parts. It could be like the brush of a wind, right? And like that being a message of like, okay, like here I am. Can I like I don't know, like the wind in some sort of way, that breeze blowing my hair back, making my, you know, have shivers on my skin, that being a confirmation of I am where I need to be, or confirming like, yes, like this is where I want to go. And so allowing those pieces. Yeah. And so with that, like, I think there was always this intuitive knowing that I was able to somehow have without having to ask, of knowing like and I don't even know where I knew this, because I had never gone to therapy before. I had never, I didn't fully even know what therapy was. I just like, I knew that I wanted to be a therapist. I couldn't tell you how. I just like, there's something in me that like knew like, this is what I want to do. And I did it. And yeah, it's kind of funny, like that same feeling, that same intuition really has kind of played out in funny ways in my life, where it's like, oh wow, how funny. Like I'll give you like kind of like an example, which feels a little silly, but it's also like very, I don't know, like I want to refrain from saying it's silly, but because it's not. But basically, like when I was a little child, I wanted to be something else differently. But I was like, I'm going to meet my life partner in graduate school. Like, that's when it's going to happen. Like, I'm going to do that. And like, of course I grew up and I was like, okay, like little Brianna, like you're cute, like how funny. And I go to my graduate program, and like at the beginning, it was a really interesting program. It was a very intimate program, actually. So the master's program that I attended at Naropa University was in contemplative psychotherapy and Buddhist psychology. And because it really involves the self through the learning, like at the beginning of the program, they say, like they told us, like, and it's funny because this is now my like direct supervisor who I work very closely with. We were sitting in a circle, very similar to how we would sit in your classrooms in high school, which is so sweet and beautiful to think about. Like, yeah, you were totally engaging in contemplative education. I don't know if you know that, but you definitely were. But he said, I want you to pause and I want you to look around this room at all of the faces. And he said, you will fall in love with somebody in this room. And in that very moment, I was like, nope, not me. Nope. I like promised myself, it's like, no, I will not fall in love with anybody. Not happening. And sure enough, I fell, and like very soon, actually, in November of our first year, I fell in love with my current partner, who I've been with for 5.5 years now. And yeah, so something like even similar to that, like this, like some sort of like intuitive knowing that, like I knew where I was, where I wanted to go, what, like, you know, and yeah, just, I don't know, something even as simple as that. And it's not simple really, like that relationship, it very much informs, how I continue to walk this path. But yeah, so with that, like I studied psychology in undergrad, and this is like very much oriented toward my career path, but really the career path of being a counselor, I view it pretty inseparable with the personal development and healing that I have and continue to engage in my life. But so with that, like, you know, I remember there was this one day in undergrad where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go on a date by myself. Yeah, like I don't know where any of my friends were, but I was like, I want to go get some good vegan food at like a vegan like comfort food restaurant. So I went to go do that. And then after, there was a Salvation Army next door. So I was like, oh, heck yeah, I'm going to go check out, see what they got. And I remember I got like a mug for like 50 cents. And I still have that mug. And I also got a little like, I don't know, cardigan. And then which I still have. And then I also found a book on Zen therapy. And I could tell you this, like I haven't even fully read the book even till this day, but there was something about that book where I was like, whoa, like, and I, at that time in my life too, I couldn't fully understand the concepts. Like I remember I would be reading a page and I'd be like, okay, I have to reread that page. Like, I don't know if I fully was able to digest that. And I haven't picked up the book actually since my training, but I'd be super curious to see what it would be like. But so I picked up that book, and that book really opened me up to like, oh wait, there's other forms and ways of doing therapy. I should look into that, you know? And I happened to also go home that day, and I picked up an article on meditation, and I had never before meditated in my life. But I picked up that article, and it like went through the basic posture, how to sit, like, you know, supporting your seat with a little bit of a cushion, or like I think I just used my pillow. You know, I didn't have a meditation cushion. I just used my pillow. I followed the rules. And that was the very first day that I sat down to meditate. And as it turns out, the program that I ended up going into, the contemplative psychotherapy and Buddhist psychology program, is very much oriented in mindfulness meditation. And it the ways in which it does so is like, you know, utilizing the self as like a tool, like you know, as therapy as an art form, and like you being like the tool of really checking in with yourself, the ways in which you're exchanging with someone, and like, yeah, not blocking your internal experience to be this like blank slate, but like really showing up as a full authentic human in the therapist seat. And not being afraid of being impacted, of feeling for your clients, of caring for them, of loving them. And so yeah, that very much informed like how I found the school that I went to, which was deeply transformative, like very much life-changing. I don't think I would be the same person I am at all with how that ended up being. And then like, you know, like all of the things that led up to that, of like not having any organized religion, really getting to, and like, you know, the program is in Buddhist psychology. I still don't identify as a Buddhist. I don't think I'll ever identify as anything. And like, there's this openness that I have with any religion where I'm like, yes, I don't know, like, I want to learn. I want to better understand. I think there's truth in all religion, all thoughts, whether that's no beliefs at all, even like, right. There's some wisdom. There's some, I don't know, there's something there. And yeah, so that's very much like informed where I am today, which is wild to think about. Just like, yeah, even before I was conceived or my existence brought into this realm, that, yeah, like here I am.
Mm-hmm. Oh, beautiful. Some of my just things that jumped out when you shared the you'll feel like a wind flow through. Literally the wind, as you said that, literally like just gave a nice little gust right as you were saying that. So
Wow.
just that listen, it sounds like the listening, like listening for signs, listen, like you
Mhm.
just have this sensory awareness of like just you're paying attention to your surroundings, and nature has been a big part of that connection, right? It's like been kind of guiding you in some really powerful ways, and
Yeah.
the connection to Amir, right? Like going like that connect, that's been a part of how you've come to be, how you've become who you are, right?
Mhm.
You know, it's so intimately connected to the family, to the and
Mhm.
to this openness energy, this curious energy that you show up with, right?
Mhm.
Where it's like, oh, look, I want to learn. Let me, yeah, I'd like to learn more about that. Yeah, as you're sharing, like, and coming as your whole self, right? As I hear you saying there at the end, right? There's this um, bringing your whole self to a session with a client, where
Mhm.
it's like it's okay, that's okay to have that that those feelings, and to be a human, it's like versus like, hi, I am therapist, and like,
Yeah.
let me read, yeah, and not to say that doesn't work for a lot of folks, right? I'm not,
Right. Right.
but like that engagement, that
Yeah.
presence, it sounds is like very important to you.
Yeah.
Oh, and that, yeah, I mean, beautiful. Like that you're as a little child thinking about grad school, you're gonna meet the love of your life, and then like literally in a share time circle, your one of your first days in grad school, and the facilitator says that. I mean, that's pretty unreal,
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Pretty
Anyway,
wild.
wow. And just like I said, yeah, it sounds like your feelings have been a huge guide. Like your
Mhm.
heart's been a huge guide. Um, yeah, whether it's that afternoon vegan date with yourself, and like, and going to the Salvation Army and running across the Zen therapy book, and having grabbing a mug, and um, anyway, just like, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I mean, obviously, yeah, I could ask some follow-up questions to that, but I mean, just like what I hear as I'm listening to you is just um, I'm hearing you're listening with your whole self,
Mm.
like you're listening with your heart, you're being led to, oh, I'm going to sit on that cushion, I'm going to read this thing about practicing meditation, what, like,
Yeah.
um yeah, kind of yeah, and just as you and I've stayed connected over the years, I mean, I just think about oh, I'll be honest, your Naropa journey, I had a little bit of jealousy, because it was like, oh my goodness, this is so exciting. I was so excited for you. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, that sounds like a dream program in my whole, my whole being's like, go you. I was so excited getting, when we got to see you and Steve there in Boulder some years
Yeah.
ago. Anyway,
Yeah.
just
Uh-huh.
such a, yeah, I'm just so inspired by all of that. So as on this healing journey, um, yeah, it sounds like you're doing a lot of listening to your heart, kind of guiding you into different scenarios and situations and experiences and connections and people and programs, right? Um, yeah, what have been some of your like, as you think about body, mind, spirit, wellness, healing, what is, I mean, obviously, I'm sure the program impacted you, or, as you think about those, you mentioned the meditation, you mentioned nature. Um, yeah, I'm curious if you wouldn't mind sharing with all of us, just like, what have been some of the modalities, the body, mind, spirit, wellness modalities that have been most helpful to your evolution, or to your self-compassion, or to your, you know what I mean, or to your
Mhm.
visioning, like what's yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Great question.
no.
Well, firstly, I would say meditation has really asked me to be with myself in a different way than I ever have. And, you know, prior to entering the program that I went into for grad school, I dibble dabble in meditation after that, like single time. I was like, oh yeah, there's something here, you know, but I didn't have that formal education in meditation or like guidance, you know. It was a lot of my own inquiry, my own research, seeking out, you know, different things in the online world, whatever. But when I went to the program, I had never before been on a meditation retreat. I had never sat for extended periods of time. And that's part of the program is each semester you go on a 2-week long meditation retreat. And I remember, yeah, like, so basically you're really challenged and to relate to your mind, to relate to your thoughts, your emotions, your whole being, your physical being, your emotional, spiritual, social being, right? Like how to be in community while also being with yourself in this environment, because you're with your entire class as well, but you're also, you know, you're with yourself. But so that has really, and you know, that very first meditation retreat, like, whoa, like so much came up, right? So much was like, I don't want to say forced, but like, was like, I've been waiting, like, thank you for paying attention. Like, thank you for not running away, for not, you know, staying busy. Like, I am literally just there on my meditation cushion, sitting for hours on end. And like things are going to come, you know, like they come. And though, you know, like I've learned to relate to those in different ways as they come now. Like, I think I if I'm in an environment or a situation where I'm like, okay, I can't quite tend to you right now, right? It's having a conversation with that part of myself, and like literally like speaking, having a conversation. Like, that sounds, you know, might sound a little silly to someone who might has never done that, but really recognizing what's arising and saying, I see you, I hear you. And like right now, you know, I have to, like, if this could happen like in a therapy session, for example, like right now, I'm going to give my mind, my heart, my attention to who's in front of me. But I see you, I hear you, and I won't forget about you. You know, I'll come back. I won't abandon you. But for now, I'm gonna put you on the shelf. I'll be back, but I'm gonna put you on the shelf, right? And so that's really what meditation has allowed me to do is, you know, when those difficult parts of the self come up, whether or not we want them to, like, how do we relate to them? Maybe it's saying, I need to put you on the shelf right now. Maybe it's saying, okay, I'm here, I'm listening. What do you need? What can I do? What do we need? You know, or perhaps it's like, you know, creating some distance from that, like not being so enmeshed with the emotion, so that way you're not just taken on this roller coaster. And maybe it's, you know what, I'm here for the ride. I'm ready. Let's do this. You know, it could be all of it, you know, and at different times it's going to be all of it. But so meditation has really been one of like, just really shifting the patterns, shifting the ways I talk to myself, you know, like what's my tone of voice like when I recognize I'm not meditating, you know, can I be kind to myself? Can I befriend myself? Can I be patient with myself? So meditation is certainly has been very influential. I would also say that yoga, right? Yoga. I was introduced to yoga before I was introduced to meditation. And I remember I really enjoyed it because it was after high school and I was a dancer in high school and I loved dancing. Like I was never the greatest dancer. I was like, I'm most often in the back of the line and the back of the group. And I didn't care because it was literally a time for me to just like, ooh, like, how do I express myself using this, you know? Because so often it's so hard to put voice and language to what is happening. And so it was really learning how to use my body. And even now I'm like, ooh, like, yeah, like I want to like, ooh, do something. But yeah, so, but yeah, so I really enjoyed it because it reminded me of a similar way of expressing myself. Like I'm into vinyasa, which is a little bit more flowy. I'm able to put on my own style, you know. I am not very rigid with it, but really like what yoga has been for me is a way of pausing, of coming back home to myself, of like just deciding to like take this time and like not be distracted, but to like pause and connect with myself on a deeper level, check in with my physical body, how my mental, emotional self is manifesting in the physical realm, and tending to that, and recognizing like where I'm having tension, where I'm holding my emotions, right? And like I've actually been doing this thing. I started it maybe 3 months ago where I'm stepping on my yoga mat every single day. And I see your face and it's like, I'm not even doing a huge practice. It might be 10 minutes on the mat and that's it. Or it might be at the end of my day where I'm like, oh wait, like I haven't really paused to check in with myself in a deeper way. And like, just taking time and doing some stretching, some intentional, mindful stretching, checking in before laying my head on the pillow. And sometimes it is a longer practice where I am getting in, you know, some physical exercise, but I really don't view yoga as physical exercise. It's like one added benefit. Great, cool. But it's something much deeper than that. It's like it's a moving meditation, really. And yeah, so those two, and I think also just like being in nature has also been extremely valuable. Even if it's just going for a walk around the lake by my house, you know, in like a break throughout my day or at the end of my work day, or going for a hike or going camping. Anything really, just finding myself in nature, getting to kind of turn off my social self, right? Of like where I'm not, you know, like, yeah. What was that?
Speaking of nature, the crow.
Aha.
The crow is very excited right now. So
yeah,
speaking of nature.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'd say those three things have been one of like my big in my toolbox, like that I grab often.
Mm-hmm. So beautiful. Yeah, that's awesome. And I love it's also just you know, even you just saying the yoga piece, right? Whether it's sometimes it's a 5-10 minute thing, you know, but just having that practice, that intentional practice. And then the meditation piece. Wow. As you're hearing you talk about doing a 2-week meditation retreat and what that was, and showing up for that. It sounds like just like having that conversation with yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Where it was like, where you had the space, right? Like during those long sits, well, you know, I'm not sure how long they were, but you know, like as you're sitting on your mat and you're like, okay, here come you know, like just seeing the thoughts move through, right? I mean, and just what a trip that might be. But what a gift that it sounds like that retreat was, and the meditation has been for you to be with the feelings, to be with the thoughts, versus this like, and I think a lot of us, I know for myself, sometimes it can feel a little bit more of like a battle raging, like sometimes I'll be real, it feels like battle raging when the thoughts flowing through so rapidly, or, depending upon whether I'm overstimulating myself throughout a day or whatever. So
Totally.
Anyway, so just, love those three reminders. Speaking of reminders, so for someone, brand new to the healing arts world, or this, this body, mind, spirit wellness conversation, who might be joining in, and I also kind of appreciate, as I'm saying that, I'm also thinking for any of us, I feel like part of the beauty of growing and evolving and shifting is being forever learners. And maybe hearing something from you today can come, like, will impact me in a, differently, or somebody in a different way. Maybe they've heard it 72 times, but like hearing it from you, maybe it's like, oh, okay. So I would like to say that, for any of us on the journey, but also like, people who are just maybe dabbling in the body, mind, spirit wellness realms, and they're like, ooh, what are there a couple of things that you might recommend? Because sometimes it can feel like massage, Reiki, craniosacral, nature time, meditation, this kind of what kind of meditation that like sometimes it could feel like, oh goodness, where do I begin? And how all the types of yoga, anyway, plant medicines, right? There's so many different like modalities and options, therapy, different kinds of therapy, group therapy, large, one-on-one. What might you recommend to us as we show up for that beginner self, that's like, what would you suggest somebody ponder as they're looking at this body, mind, spirit wellness world? Anyway, that's kind of a long-winded question, but
no, I think first I would reflect like, well, how beautiful where you are in your path. Like you are at a fork and you're choosing this path. Like how sacred actually this is, as you're choosing to step forward. And I think also I would say, take it slow, be gentle with yourself, find what feels good, what's going to support you, what's your path. Like don't emulate anybody else, but what feels good for you. And become your own best friend, right? Like how a relationship to ourselves is the most important relationship that I think we could ever have. And so be gentle with yourself. Like, have loving kindness with yourself first and foremost. And from those places where you feel like you're fully able to be you, then move forward. Like that will guide you.
Breathe that in. Wonderful. Wonderful. So as you're continuing post grad school and now in a role at Naropa, supporting grad students on their path, and doing a variety of other things there for the Naropa community, and also launching your own private practice and offering counseling sessions to folks. Are there stuff that you're currently diving into or that you're learning right now, on your own evolution journey that's like most exciting you, like where you're like, ooh, this is, this is good, or, I don't know, or like highlights, recent
Yeah.
highlights, or, things that are just like, have been exciting to you, discoveries you're making or experiences you're having that you're like, oh yeah, getting, feeling energized by.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a question where I'm like, is what I'm doing, like, is what I'm discovering about myself exciting? And I think it is, though, because really, like, so right currently I've been, you know, I just got done with like moving around a lot in my life. So after I graduated from my grad program, I moved to Minneapolis, and I lived in Minneapolis for a year. I worked as a therapist within the field there. And then after a year there, I moved to Arizona, and I worked as a therapist there. And then after that, we moved back to Boulder, which is where the program that my partner and I went to. So that was kind of like our plan, was like land in Minneapolis, land in Arizona, and then like land back in Boulder. And I think for the way I was raised, like I was very much there's this ingrained message of like prioritize career, and like get your career started, like the straight and narrow, like, like have a goal and go there,
Mm-hmm.
and this moving from one place to the next and then back to the next, like so much, it felt really ungrounded for a little bit, like I'd get to one place and I would feel like I landed, and then it'd be like, oh wait, now I have to I have to pack it all back up and go, or give away a handful of things, because we try to be light with our moves, and lots of money involved too, and but really, so like, it very much like it was like a windy path to like get to where I am currently.
Mm-hmm.
And I watch myself say like, like, oh, like, did I just waste all that time moving from one place to the next and whatnot? But I'm like having to remind myself, like, no, like there's experience there. I very much am walking away from those experiences with greater knowledge about myself, about what I want in life, about what I want to do, what my goals in my career are in general. But upon graduating, I was like, no, private practice. Like, I don't want to do that. I'll work in agency work. And then I got a taste for, some, and I can handle it to a certain degree. And also I was like, life is too short to not do what I want to do, to not do the work that I want to do as a therapist. And so like, I was informed that like, actually, no, you know what? I want more freedom in the ways I practice. And that would mean being in private practice. So it kind of, I'm reorganizing the ways in which I relate and to like the experience of the windy path. Like I've always been like, even in school, like, like I have a plan and I'm gonna do the plan, and nothing's like, I'm not gonna stray. And I think I'm recognizing, or I'm challenging myself to recognize the beauty in the windy path of allowing myself to go here and experience this, and then go there and experience that, and not have to like plan those in or something, but really, I don't know. Yeah. Just, yeah, I'm reworking the patterns that were fully ingrained in me of like, prioritize my career, get my goals done, and then branch out into the world and experiment and see what comes. Where I'm like, no, I'm going to do it all in the midst of getting to the goal, right? Like I still have my goals, and they might have shifted a little bit, but my path there wasn't so straight and narrow. It was, I took the scenic routes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So almost like it sounds like allowing yourself to have the scenic route.
Yeah.
Right. Where it was like, I do remember you were so diligent with your studies. I remember
Mhm.
meeting up at some point in your undergrad for coffee or something, and just being like in awe of like how locked in and focused you were on or whatever. So as you're talking about like, yeah, allowing yourself the scenic route where it's like, oh, Minnesota. Okay, that was an experience. Ooh, like
Yeah.
um Arizona, and then okay, back to Boulder, and allowing that. Yeah. Huh.
Mhm.
That's beautiful. That I appreciate you sharing that, because I do think that there is I think so many of us, right? I mean, I could empathize just on the front of, right, expectations, whether it's familial or cultural, of like career and what that these success measures are, right? Where it's
Mhm.
like in quotes. Um, and then having that conversation with ourselves as to what is that look like? Does it need to be A, B, C, D, or can we have some mixture, right? Where it's like, hey, and then, all right, I'm going to go check out H, and then back
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
over to R, have a little more. Yeah. I can empathize. Like, I just definitely empathize with that. Just where it's like, I have to constantly be like, and it's okay. You're on the scenic route, you know?
Yes, definitely. It's hard. It's so hard to like, and I feel like I discuss this in therapy all the time where I'm like, I don't know, was that all okay? Like it's so imperfect. Like yeah, like just my coming to this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do appreciate that. That's such a good reminder. We are all worthy of the scenic route. If we freaking
Yeah.
want to take the scenic route, take it. Right? Like, there's choice. We get to decide. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so a couple final questions as we're finishing up today. Again, so grateful for your voice and your sharing today. I'm getting pumped up. Um, what inspires you to walk boldly forward each day as we live in a world with so much despair, destruction, inequality, poverty, pain? Uh, what's inspiring you to keep on keeping on, to keep on showing up in the ways you're showing up? Um, yeah, what's inspiring you within this world that is, I've never typically wanted to say this word, but I'm like, it seems to be pretty broken. There's a lot of brokenness,
Mhm.
near and far. Um, yeah, what's inspiring you to like stay hopeful, to stay in your zones of genius, to continue to bring your love into this world? Yeah, what's inspiring you to do that?
Yeah.
Go wherever you want with that question. Yeah.
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 That's a big question. And I think one that I have to constantly come back to and redefine for myself or yeah, like try on and yeah, remind myself, like remember. Yeah. I think that there I think it exists in all of us. This compassion exists in all of us, and compassion in its simplest form being the desire to alleviate the suffering of others or to not see others in pain. And I think what often happens is our our connection to our hearts gets severed. We so much of our world is designed to disconnect us from those deeper parts of ourselves also, to really, like as you were saying, listen, like checking in with what's here, what's in this world, and really listening, really feeling that, really taking that in, and allowing that to inform how we live. um, And, the program that I did for grad school, the basis of the philosophies that we utilized, Buddhist philosophies that we utilize to a lot in the work that we do is the idea of brilliant sanity or basic goodness. And I prefer basic goodness because it's so simple as that. It's that within each and every human being and creature, there exists this basic goodness, meaning that we are all basically good at our core. And it so happens that also things come around in life that kind of shadow over that cover that make that kind of limit our access to that basic goodness. And it could be, and like if you think of like some of the people in this world, I'm sure we all have different names in our minds and some overlapping, but that have done horrible things or kind of don't live their life like fully in alignment with what you would think would be in basic goodness. That, if you think back to like all of the things that have led up to where they are then, and like imagining themselves as a child, being in their basic purity, goodness form, and all of the messages, the information from society, from their family, from their parents, their mom and dad, the people who keep them safe, what has informed like them to kind of be and do the things that they're doing now. My cat's coming. This guy actually is a big reminder of like of basic goodness, actually. Here, I'm gonna pick him up. He's wanting some love. But where was my train of thought?
Back into people's child selves and
so like just the fact that like we all hold this capacity, and even when somebody commits an act so harmful, so gruesome, so what the mind can't fully grasp or understand how someone could have done that, like there's this reminder of like I think for myself there has to be some form of recognizing that there's some pain, there's some sickness, some shadowing that has happened to their own brilliancy. And I think with that, like having that belief that no matter what someone may have done in this world, or all of the division and like us versus them, and like that even as I looked to them, can I recognize that? Can I believe in that still? And even though when they might not believe it themselves, but that being at the foundation of the way that I view humanity, that that has really been a driving force in, and I think even before I learned the term in my program, there was already this belief. Like, I think there had to be that belief in myself too, because I wasn't raised with religion to, I was like, oh, am I, quote unquote, living in sin without religion, without following the Bible or whatever else. And I had to, like, there was this like, well, no, like, right. No, but there was, these messages from society. And so there had to be this like own understanding for myself of like, oh, right. Like, no, like actually like my heart knows, and we all have the capacity to kind of like, we all have the capacity for good and evil. And each day, each choice takes us one step toward the other. And we have choice. We get to choose which voice we listen to, what path we take. And so I think those have really just informed the way I understand like a lot of the complexity that happens in this world, and the pain. And that then the reminder to also come back to my own heart and how that informs what I feel or know in my bones to be not okay, or or like yes, we need to do better. And just that has kept me there, kept me strong.
Yeah. Love. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, that's just the whole, like, that idea of basic goodness kind of like coming back to that space, right? Because it is very easy to just immediately kick somebody off the island, right? I mean, it's like when we're going through this us and them stuff, sometimes I'm just like, all right, let's just divvy up the country. Divvy up the country, and we're gonna be like, all right, y'all get this part of the country and you guys get this part, just like, because it's so intense. But there is that, I love that reminder of at the end of the day, each of us kind of going in and having conversation, right? Having that conversation with ourselves is like, all right, where's the shadow swooping in and blocking out that basic goodness or that love or that, gentleness that we all yearn for and desire deep down, right? And know is what, we're here to, like, commune and connect and be held and safe, right? The way the earth loves on us day in and day out, where you're just like, how are there 4,000 onions on that truck right now? Like, I'm seeing onions just get transported across the desert the other day, and I'm just like, wow, this earth, are you kidding? Like, it's easy to just be like, oh, it just shows up at the grocery. But then when you, like, getting to see the transport, I'm like, oh my. And then the farmers, and then the people who are cleaning them up and getting everything fresh, and just what a gift. So that support that the earth just offers us forever, or at present, right? It's like, so how do we show up? How do we show up and pay attention to that? I love that basic goodness reminder. I think that, I kind of feel led on the micro macro scale stuff is like one of the greatest gifts. It's not the only thing we can do, right? But one of the greatest gifts we can offer humanity as a whole is this inner work, the inner softening, the inner, the self-compassion. Because that goes on. I mean, if everybody's making that shift, the macro will happen. It will happen, right?
It'll have a ripple effect.
Right.
And like the interconnectedness that comes with that too. Like even the example of the onion, of like seeing the interconnectedness of like letting an onion at the grocery store be a reminder of our interconnectedness of like, oh, right, this came from a man somebody who transported it here, and the people who gathered them and harvested, and then the farmer, and then the earth, and the water, and the clouds, the rain fall, right? Everything, like it can, and interconnectedness.
Well, to close episode 38, the final question, Brianna Valenzuela, I'm so thankful for your voice here and your heart, and just dropping in and sharing some of your discoveries and the way in which you've chosen to evolve, and day to day, just like what's supporting you right now. And just thankful for your words today and your energy.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah. So closing question would be, okay, at some point, over this history of this Our Healing Voices YouTube channel, this is going to be viewed 20,000 times, so if you have a room full of 20,000, yeah, what are a couple nuggets, 2 or 3 pieces? And again, you've been dropping them throughout the whole sharing today, but what are a couple that you just would love to invite us all to chew on, to sit with, to journal about, yeah, what would there be 2 or 3, like, here are my final couple pieces for y'all to take, to think about or to ponder, or
Yeah. I think what feels really, really like it's speaking to me now is find your way of coming home to yourself, whatever that looks like for you. So as you, whether you're just embarking on this journey or you've been here, like what are the ways in which you come home to yourself, in which you connect to yourself on a deeper level, that you really drop in and listen to what's happening, to the parts of you that are wanting to put voice to. Find your ways of coming home to yourself and go there often. Go there as often as you can. And know that connection to yourself will serve you in every single area of your life, whether that's in your relationship with your partner, and when you're in a fight, or when you're feeling lonely, or in how you're parenting your child, how you're relating to the messiness of being human. Come home often.
Yeah. Breathe that in. Woo. Yeah. Come home often. Yeah. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
Yeah. Those of you who joined via YouTube or podcast, or caught this clip on Instagram, or caught this somewhere online, thanks for being here. Thanks for being on this journey, this I would say courageous evolutionary journey that we're all on together. No doubt you are courageous. Showing up today is a courageous act. May your courage continue to grow, and to know, may we all know that we're not alone, and that our transformation and our healing and our shifting is really important. We're worth that. We're worthy of being more gentle with ourselves, or whatever the thing is that we're choosing to shift, right? So thanks for being here again. Be in touch with Brianna. I'll have her info in the description, so be in touch with her if you'd like to follow up or co-create some magic in the future, or drop in with her in the future. And be in touch with me as well. Know that we're cheering you on and believing in you. And thank you so much, Our Healing Voices community, and Brianna, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you, Eric.